We are going to be redoing the exam part on Creo. So we're going to open Creo. Takes a while to open. Okay, it's opening. Okay, first thing, select the working directory. I'm going to select it as exam2 again, I guess. Okay, now we're going to create the first part. And name it main body because the one with the underscore is already used. Okay, you uncheck the default template. Okay, this is in inches. Okay, modeled by your name. Description main body. Hit OK. First thing we're going to do is we're going to blend. First part is a blend. So sections, I'm going to sketch the first part, and I'm going to sketch it on the top plane. Go to sketch, go to a sketch view. Okay. Now I'm going to input a hexagon, because that's the bottom part. Put that right there. We're going to change this to 1.5 inches. Hit OK. Okay. I am going to use some constraints to get this to go in the middle. So we're going to hit the middle part of the hexagon and the y-axis to get it to line up. Hit the middle part of the hexagon and hit the x-axis. Now it's right in the middle, right there. Okay, I'm going to hit check mark, and we're going to put another section. This is going to be 2.75 inches from the bottom hexagon. Alright, we're going to go to palette again and put in another hexagon. Okay, this one is going to have a side length of 0.75. And just like the other one, I'm going to constrain it to the center. So we're going to go with that, and a little like that. Hit OK, check mark. And now we're going to input another section. This one is going to be 3.25 inches from the center, from the last section. There we go. We're going to hit palette, and we're going to put another hexagon, the last one. Right there. This one again is going to have a side length of 1.5. And once again, I'm going to constrain it to the middle. Okay. Hit OK, hit check mark. Now we have that nice piece. Beautiful. Hit check mark. Alright, and we see this. Now the next part is going to be creating the base on each side. So for this, we're going to extrude on this top part. Let's change it to a no hidden line. Bring it to a sketch view, and we're going to do a circle. This is going to be 5 inches. Hit OK. Right, and it's going to be 0.5 inches thick. Check mark. We go like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to carve out that middle part. So we're going to hit extrude, and we're going to extrude on the surface. And the surface we're extruding on is the part that has the hexagon on it. Okay, so we're going to dig that out and bring it to a sketch view. We're going to put in a circle in the center. This is going to be 4.5 inches. Now when we do this one, check mark, when we do this one, we're going to be digging out. So we want to reverse the arrow to cut material, and we're going to change this to create a 0.25 inch little hole on that 5-inch platform. Okay, check mark. Okay, now we don't want the hexagon to just float on there. So we're going to extrude one more time onto that circle, bring it to a sketch view, put in the circle, and this platform is going to be 3.5 inches. Make that 3.5, check mark. And this is going to go up just to replace that part we just dug out, 0.25 inches. And we see it going up. Okay. Now we just have to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to do extrude on here, bring that to a sketch view, bring in our first big circle to 5 inches. It's the same as the other thing. Okay, we see that going up. Change it to 0.5 inches like the last one. Check mark. Okay, now we just want to dig out that part again. So we're going to click here. We're going to click extrude. Bring it to a sketch view. Put that circle in. And that circle is 4.5 inches. Okay, we're going to zoom out. And we see this. Hit a check mark. Now, once again, we just want to cut that material at a depth of 0.25. Check mark. And the last extrusion. Thank God. Look at that. Bring it right there. The last circle. 3.5 inches. Bring it around. We don't want it to go 2.5 because that would be ridiculous. And 0.25 inches, and we have a nice platform. And just to check our progress so far, we see we have this little section. We have to revolve out that middle part now. So what we're going to do, we're going to hit revolve, placement, define. Let's use this plane. You can use this one either, it doesn't really matter. Hit sketch. Do sketch view, and put in our center line. Designate this the axis of revolution. Okay, I just want to check that we have the correct dimension on this. So 7 inches, which is what it should be, good. All right, now we're going to create that center cutout. So we see from the first part, all right, at the top it goes down, okay, then it goes across, goes up, not all the way though, keeps going down, goes out a little bit again, and then goes all the way down and over there. And I'm just going to leave it open for now while I edit this stuff. So we see that the first diameter on the top hexagon is 1 inch, okay. I see that that top section goes down 2.5 inches from the top. Okay, the middle section has a diameter of 0.5 inch, and that middle part is again 2.5. We're back to a 1 inch diameter for that bottom part, just like the top. And let's just check this dimension. 2 inches, that's what it should be. All right, so we are all good to close up the sketch. Bring this up top, and now we have a closed sketch. Okay, and we can revolve this out. Default option is remove material, which is good. We want to cut out that center part. And let's hit check mark. Look at that. Nice. If we want to turn on hidden lines, you see it looks exactly like the picture we were given. All right. Now we just have one more thing to do for this sketch, and we'll be good to go. What we're going to do is we are going to round the edges. So we want to change this. We see that the R has to be 0.25. Okay. I don't want to do that. Now, while hitting Command, I'm going to hit this edge. That'll round that. This edge. Okay. Whoa. Okay, we want this top edge. Whoa. And we still want this bottom edge. And there we go. Oops. And check mark. And this main body is good to go for now. We will be coming back to this. Okay, now the next part we don't have to do a drawing for, but we're going to make the spring. Okay, so spring, let's make it spring, what is it called on here? It's just called the spring. All right, I'm going to make it spring video. Yeah, spring 2. And check the default template, inches, modeled by your name, description is spring. Okay, now I just have to check elms for this, so let's go over to, okay, so we get the dimensions from here, and I'm going to go back. Okay, so this is a helical sweep, so we're going to hit helical sweep. We're going to use the front plane, bring that to a sketch, bring it to a sketch view. First thing we got to do is we got to create our center line. Okay, designate that the axis of revolution, hit OK. And now we are going to create our sketch profile. This is the trajectory that the cross section is going to go along. So we see from this that it's 6 inches. Okay, so let's draw a line just horizontally. Okay, and we're going to make this 6. It's going to make that 3. We're going to make this 6. And we're going to make this 4. Okay, so those dimensions came from, we want the 4-inch diameter on the spring. It has to go 6 inches long. And I just made it 3, so it's centered along the y-axis. All right, so we're going to go back. We're going to hit check mark. Okay. Now we're going to edit the cross section. So when we do this, we look, we see those that little cross section. That's where we're going to start. Okay, and we have this little square. Okay. Oh wait, this is not the right exam. Come on, 501. This looks like how it worked. Okay, so we're going to create the first part. This is 0.25. Okay, zoom in on that a little bit. Now we're just going to create these lines going out because we want these. We're going to edit these in a second. Okay, so this one is going to be 110. They're both going to be 110. Also 110. Okay, so we see that. Now what we're going to do, we'll create this going down like that. Yeah, and this, just going to dimension this. This is going to be 0.5 inches, and you'll see it'll just move down a little on our trapezoid. Undo the dimension, and now we're just going to delete this last little segment right there. Now we have our cross section. Looks good. Hit OK. Hit OK, and we have this weird looking spring, and we just want to edit that to have a pitch 0.625. Alright, hit check mark. And that is all we have to do for that spring. Okay. Now, what we should do for this before we keep going any further is for later on, let's just set the parameters right now. We're going to hit add one. It's going to be part all caps part underscore number. And we're going to make that a string. Okay, and the value that it has based on the thing we saw, the little, based on the exam, is A002. designate that. We're going to do part name. Okay, I'm going to make that a string. Oh, wait, we don't need to do that one. Change this to price. Part name is given in how I named it. Price is a real number, and the price of the spring is $15, or whatever currency you want. And the last part we're going to make, no, I think that's it. Okay. Save this. I can X out of this one. Okay, now we're back to this. We're going to do the same thing with this one. Let's add a string and make this part number. This is a string, and it has a value of A001. Designate that. Let's do one more. Price. This part's a little more expensive. $350, or once again, any currency. I'm going to hit OK and save this. Now we're going to make the drawing. Okay. A new drawing. Let's name it main body. Uncheck the default template. Empty with the format. I'm going to grab it from to that nice template we've used right there. Okay, first thing, I'm going to edit these. So this is in Inch. Okay, now we have all this stuff. First thing I'm going to do is general view. Okay, right there. Front, apply, and I am going to change the scale to 0.375. Hit apply, make that a little bigger, and I'm going to hit OK. Okay, now we have this front part. Let's get the scale out of here so we can do a little more details. Okay, now I want those hexagons to come out on the side, the revolved view. So I'm going to go back to my part. Okay, I'm going to look at the front. All right, and I want one of them to be, let's turn these back on. From the bottom, from the top, but notice the top is right above that bottom platform. So your measurements, just make sure we keep that in mind. It's gonna be 2.75 up from the bottom, which is right at the center line. Okay, that's datum 1. Notice datum 1 on the toolbar. Okay. Okay, and from the bottom again, this is going to be the one that goes right below the top platform. It's going to be 6 inches from the bottom. Now we can look out. Whoa. We see that that fits perfectly right below. Hit OK. Save this. We'll minimize this from. Oh, okay. Okay. Now we're going to hit revolved view. This is the parent view. Center point, let's go right out here. Single. It's a planar, it's a single. Is it done? We could call it DTM1. Let's just call it 1. Nice and simple. Okay. The plane we're going to use is datum 2. It's a little confusing because I called it 1, but whatever. And you hit OK. There it is. Now for the second one, we're just going to do the same thing. Click on that. Select the center point is going to be right out here. Create a new one, single planar, because we already made the plane. Let's name that 2. And we're going to click on datum 1. There we go. They're right over there. What we're going to do now is just, we could create the projection view for this. It's going to go right up here. Looks all nice. And let's do the detail view. So the detail view goes right over here. Centered right about here. Okay. And now we're just going to make that big circle around it. Hopefully mine comes out okay. Okay. And we're going to bring that right over there. And it looks nice. Let's go into this detail. Scale's good. Everything's good. Alright. Just going to move this over a little so we can get the C detail in there. Move this over. Move this over. Let's move it over a little more. Alright, the last complicated part for this is we're going to input that default orientation. This one is going to have a scale also of 0.375 like the others. Apply that. And we want this display to not follow the environment. We just want this to be no hidden. Hit apply for that, hit OK. We're just going to move this over to the top. Okay, and now we got to go back into the drawing, which I cannot seem to hit on. Let's change this to whatever. Let's go to the front view. Okay. So what we're going to do now, annotate. Let's go to the top. And let's go to sections. We're going to do an offset section. I don't know why everything just seemed to go away. There we go. Sketch this. I seem to actually accidentally hit something. Hit sketch. We're just going to draw a line down from the front. Okay. Okay, I don't know why this keeps disappearing. A line from the side. And there we go. Now if we look at this, this is the side we want cut out. Looks like that. It looks exactly like it does on the picture. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Well, that's unfortunate. Let's go back to, what did I call it? Main body, there we go. Okay, see, and we still have it. Let's save it. Let's rename this section. Rename it to A. Okay, save. And now we can finally get rid of this, this little thing. Back to here. We're going to click on this isometric view again. We're going to go to sections, 2D cross section. Let's add one, A. Apply, and there we go. Now one thing we could do with this is we can, I don't know how to get this to permanently stay. There we go. There we go. All right, back to that. Okay, now we can make these a little closer together. So we're going to do spacing half it. Yeah, that looks, yeah, we'll double it. That looks about good. Okay, section. Could probably move this over a little bit. Move that into the corner just so we can have some more room to annotate this. Okay, so let's start with this little detail view. Let's annotate it. Dimension from here to here. It's 0.25. Okay. From top to bottom, total thing is 0.5. Can't see anything. Revolve. Text. That's good, that's good. I don't know why this is so far from the side. There we go. I don't know, that's weird. And let's just get that little R.25. There we go. Bring that right up top. Okay, so that's good for that detail view. Now we're going to go into this top hexagon. Dimension. Let's dimension the top. It's 1.5. Cancel. Let's flip these arrows before I forget. Okay. Probably could just show model annotations. Go to this. Check both of these. Hit OK. Make this one a little smaller so it doesn't get in the middle of everything. And that looks pretty good. We need to put in that circle. Change that to diameter. Let's just flip these arrows. Move this a little over. It's a little congested over there. Okay. Now we just got to do this bottom hexagon. My roommate's coughing up a storm in the background if you can hear it. Sorry you have to hear that. And we're going to bring down that these little center lines. Okay, and we're going to dimension this bottom. This is 0.75. The center is, okay. Okay. There we go. Diameter, cancel that. Flip the arrows, and we are good on the revolve views. Now we just have to do this big part right here. We're going to go down from the top here to here. That's 2. We can go from here to here while holding down command. And that's going to be 2.5. Let's try to get those lined up. No doubt it matters. And this last part is going to be 1.5, which we have to flip the arrows on. This has to be difficult. The arrows, move this over, center it so we can see the 1.5. And we're just going to do this last part, which we have the dimensions already on the detail view, but we're just going to get it over here also. Make that 0.5. So that looks good. Now this top part's the last, oh, almost forgot. We have to show model annotations on here so we can get the center line. Okay. Bring these all the way up, bring this down. There we go. All right, for this top one, let's start off by showing the model annotations. We'll get both of these. Okay, I don't know why I did that. Dimensions. Okay, let's change this to a diameter. We're going to flip the arrows on here. Dimension, we're going to do this outer box. We're going to get a radius of 2.5, change the orientation to diameter, flip the arrows. And lastly, we're going to do this inner one. Oops. Orientation, we're going to change that to diameter, and we are going to flip the arrows. So we are set. We have our cross section. We have our detail view with our 0.25, 0.5, 0.25 scale. We have our two revolve views right here. And we have our main body, 2 inches, 2.5 inches, 1.5 inches, and 0.5 inches. And up top we have 5, 4.5, and 3.5. The last thing we're going to do, for this drawing at least, is change the arrows to be filled. Love those filled arrows. Okay, there we go. Add that, hit OK. And our arrows are a lot nicer. Okay, so we're going to save this. Okay, and let's PDF this so we have it when we're done. Okay, I gotta go to my desktop, enemy 72, exam 2, main body, let's say video. Okay. All right, we can export, close that setup, and we can X that out. Okay, so now we're into the assembly phase of this. I don't know why it's doing that. Oops. There we go. Okay, so now let's hit new assembly. Use the default template. Uncheck the default template. We're going to change this to, what should we name the assembly? Let's just name it exam 2 video. Hit OK. Oh. Okay. Hit OK. Modeled by my name. And we're going to do the description as exam 2. All right, so we're started with this thing. Let's turn back on our planes. And we have this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to input is the we're going to input the main body first. So that's this one. Okay, let me see. It has all those arrows. To get rid of those arrows, let's change this to fixed. All right, now it's fully constrained, and hit check mark. Okay. Now there's only 2 parts. Thank God. So we're going to put in the spring 2. Okay. Now we have to constrain this. We can't just hit fixed. So the first thing we're going to do is we want this top, the spring. We want the middle of the spring to line up with the middle of our main body. We're going to change that to coincidence, so they line up like that. While I'm at this, why don't I get rid of the hidden lines? There we go. Okay. Now, see, it's even, but we want this to line up with this, so it's kind of inside. So it's a new constraint, and let's do this one. Let's going to line up with this one. We change that to coincident, and it's right there. Okay, now this kind of looks good, but we can see that we can still move it out that way. So the last thing we're going to do all right, this one is going to line up right there. Oh, that's invalid. Delete. Okay. Which ones do we have? We have the right, and we have the right of the spring, the top of the spring. So let's get the front of the spring. What do we have here? We have the right of the main body and the datum of the main body. So can we do change that to coincident? Why is that doing that? Oh, that's the wrong. So move that. Just move it over there. There we go. And now we are all good. It's all lined up. I accidentally had it on the assembly datum instead of the one for the main body. So we're good on that. It's a check mark. Okay. So now there's a couple things we want to do before we get into that. Actually, there's one thing we want to do before we get into the drawing for this. We're going to go into View Manager, and we're going to create our exploded view. So new, I'm just going to do explode in all caps. Okay. Let's go to Properties, and we're just going to move the stuff around. So this is the standard orientation, but we can choose that. We're just going to bring it out like that. Okay, and before we do this, we just got to make sure to save it. Hit OK, and close. Save this assembly. Hit OK. Now let's do our drawing. Drawing, assembly, video. Uncheck the default template. Empty with the format. The format's still there. And here's our drawing. So the first sheet of the drawing, we're going to do our table, our BOM. So let's input our assembly. Okay, it's scale. It said it wants a scale of 0.625. It's nice and big. Okay. Now the orientation looks a little different, so we're going to play with the angles a little. Let's do. Oops. There we go. That looks good. Can move this over to the center. Looks very close. I like it. Let's tack on another -15. Looks even better. This guy comes to the front a little. Let's do 30. There we go. It's perfect. Okay, so we have this. Now we see balloons, and we see a BOM on the bottom. Before we do that, let's change this to inch. There we go. Okay, and we are going to hit. Oh, let's just check something first. And we're all good with the template. Let's hit. We're going to input a table. And this is going to be a table that's 2 columns by 5. Oops. Okay. Wait, oh, cancel that. All right. When we do the table, we got to go to Insert Table, change the number of columns to 5, change the number of rows to 2. We're going to change this to leftward and ascending. Now, that looks good. Now I just want to go check there we go. The location is 10.75 and 1.36. I'm going to hit OK. We're going to hit absolute coordinates, 10.75 for the X, 1.36 for the Y. We're going to hit OK. There we go. We have that table. Now we're going to write in what we want. So we have index. Okay. We have part number. We have part name. We're just writing in what we see on the exam sheet. Price, quantity. Okay, and we can change these all to centered so it looks presentable. Center, center. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a repeat region so that we can not really have to do any work other than have it list all the parts. So let's add a repeat region. We're going to hit this left side, and we're going to click on this right side. We're going to hit Attributes. Okay, and we're going to click on this entire second row. There we go. No duplicates. We want it flat, and we want it by part. Done return. Done. Now, let's right-click on here. Okay, report parameter. This is ASM. Oops, nope. Report parameter, report, and this is just report index. The second one, this is something we did ourselves. So we're going to do ASM, MBR, user defined, and we called it, this has to be the exact thing you named it, part name. Okay, name, report the parameter, ASM, MBR. This one's a little different though. This is just name. And this price, and this is another one we just reported, or we named ourselves. So it's user defined, and we're gonna hit price. This last one, we can just go ASM. Oh no. We can just go to report, and we're going to hit quantity because that's something that is established by our assembly. So we got all these. We can hit repeat region. Oops. Let's update the table. There we go. The part number didn't show up, so I must have done something incorrect. So let's go back to, let's go to main body. Parameters, part underscore number. Okay. There we go. So I must have incorrectly labeled it. Okay, so let's change this to table columns so we can edit this stuff. I'll click on that. Format, there we go. Center that, center this, center this. Now the only thing that's different between this and the one that shows up is the name is Spring 2 and main body is one word, which obviously would be fixed on the exam because I already have stuff that's named that way from the exam. Okay, now we're still on table column. Let's go back to that. We want to make this line up completely. So click on index, let's go to width. We can change this to, let's go 6. You know what? Let's go 7. Okay. This looks like the big one we're going to have to change, which is quantity. So let's change that to 3. Oh, okay. So that got very small. Looks like we can name part name a little bigger. Let's change it to 12. Looks like it has a little more room in there. Part number, we should probably change to 11. And we are all lined up. Perfect. So now we just want to hit create balloons. Create balloons all. And there are balloons. They show up a little in some odd places. So let's change this back to general. Let's go back here and we can edit where these balloons go. Okay, we want the 1 to be over there, so we're going to click on this. And we want this 2 to be over here. Okay. And with the balloons, we just want to didn't mean to do that. We want to clean these up. So we're just going to hit clean up balloons. Okay, that one cleans up over there. Maybe I can move this one over a little. Clean up balloons, hit OK. It just gets a little farther. There we go, we could just do that. Let's just move this. Move this a little further. Clean up. Okay. This one looks like it's stuck on that bottom part, which is fine. It's just a little lower than we wanted, but that's okay. We get the point. And the last thing we're going to do for the balloons is we're just going to go to arrow style and we're going to hit filled dot. Change that so we don't have to worry about filling in the arrows or anything. Let's bring this a little lower so it actually fits on the page, which is an ideal part of this. And we see everything is good on this first part. So now let's go to the last part of the exploded view. Hit plus. We're going to add that sheet on the bottom just by hitting the little plus mark next to sheet 1. We're going to hit layout, general view, OK. And we're just going to do, I think I did front last time. No, that's top. Front apply. Okay, front could work. The scale on this one is 0.5. So let's apply that. And like the last one, just before we, you know what? We're going to explode the components by going to View States, check Explode Components. We're going to hit Explode. So apply. See how it comes out like that? I want it to look a little neater. So let's do normal. I did -45 on the last one. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more than that. -25 also. That looks nice. And I did the horizontal. I gave it a nice, let's do -15 this time since we want it to come out the other way. That looks pretty good. Do a little more. -10. Looks even better. Okay, and I can just move this right onto the screen. So that's all on there, and there's the exploded view. We don't have any units down here because it doesn't tell us to give any, and this looks complete. We have everything we want. Let's save this. Okay, file. Let's export the PDF. Export it. I'm going to save it to my local disk. XAM2, assembly video. There we go. That's that. Close the export setup. And if I shrink this down, shrink this down, shrink this down, we can open them up and see that I have the assembly video in PDF form. Looks nice, just like we want it. Okay, see it right there. X that out. And we have the main body video, which is what we wanted. And we see everything looks just the way we want it to. So that's how we would create a replica of the exam problem. This will be posted on YouTube, on my YouTube channel that I will soon make. And that's about it. As soon as I can figure out how to stop this thing.